Hey friends, Megan McIntosh here. Welcome to this video. Woohoo! It is winter and I have so many flyaways. My hair is just going everywhere with the static. I guess that is what it is in the winter time and the cooler weather. We had actually a sprinkling of snow today. Really nice, although it's already melted, but I just love to see it. I love to see the snow. So if you're there, say hi. Let me know where you're coming in from. Today we're going to talk about mindset. We're going to talk about the growth mindset. Not sure if you're familiar with growth mindset, but there's something that Carol Dweck came up with in terms of the two mindsets. So I'm going to go through that today with you because I think it's really good to re-look at it and go over it again, because it's something that I read in the past and definitely have my own thoughts about it and how to implement it in your life. So I'm excited to talk about it. So if you're there, say hi, drop a hi down below, or emoji, your favorite emoji, and give me some love. Let me know where you're coming in from, what city, what town, what country. My lips are so dry, so I put so much lipstick on just because I couldn't find my lip gloss, and I'm just like, I know I'm gonna start biting them. So I'm just like, everything's dry. I just had a shower about maybe an hour ago, and I can still feel the dryness. I should have put lotion on after, but you know, whatever. Oh, something just fell in my room. I'm all over the place today, as you can tell. Okay, so I'm gonna first talk to you about the growth mindset and the different mindsets that you can potentially have and how to really look at this. You can actually go online and Google this if you want to get an image of this. There's an actual really great graphic by Nigel Holmes, and it's from Carol Dweck. She's a PhD, Carol S. Dweck. And in terms of the two mindsets, and then the graphic is by Nigel Holmes. So you can actually Google that. And you know what? I'm actually not sure if Carol is a woman or a man, because Carol could also be a man's name. So I don't know. Actually, I've never met the person that wrote this. So just was assuming it was a woman, but it might be a man that wrote it. I should Google that, because that might bug me. I should have actually looked at that beforehand. I don't think it really matters, does it? Carol Dweck. Let me just, yep, it's a woman. Okay, so it's Carol Susan Dweck, and she's actually an American psychology, and she is professor at Stanford. So she was a professor at Stanford. I'm not sure if she still is. And then she went to University of Illinois. I'm just looking at her Wikipedia, and I love her work, because she talks about innovation, creativity. She talks about mindset, and really a lot about advertising as well, and all different things. So the role of expectations, the role of problem solving and situation, and mindset work. So she's done everything on this topic in terms of human development. So if you're interested in the fields of social psychology, developmental psychology, and learning about this kind of thing, this is actually university work on it. So it's not just someone writing a book on how they overcame something and talking about mindset. It's literally someone that has done research in the motivations of people in terms of personality and development. So she teaches courses in motivation, personality, and social development, and that's through the psychology, right? And hey Mo, oh, you're gonna love this one. It's about mindset, and I'm talking about Carol Dweck's work, and she is a psychology. She has a background in psychology at Stanford, and she talks a lot about mindset. So you're gonna love it. And some of you don't actually know my background in university, and I actually took sociology. So I took some courses in psychology because I was in the social sciences. And so when I was in university, I took quite a lot of courses on the human brain and learning about the human brain. And sociology is, of course, a difference between psychology and sociology. Psychology is more like the individual and our brain, and then sociology is really studying societies. And sociology, it was a little bit newer it wasn't that new actually, but it was something that to learn about why are people the way they are, often from society and the way societies are built and that kind of thing. So I studied a lot about feminism and studied about why people got tattoos, and I studied all different things, right? Eastern European society. I've studied a lot in kinship and indigenous. Well, I did work where I was studying kinship and that kind of thing. So there's so many different things that you can study, but when you're doing university, you often like pick and choose different courses. And I did a lot of psychology courses too. So that's another reason why I'm into growth mindset. And then I also did philosophy courses, but specifically philosophy I did mostly in Eastern religions, so like Indian and Chinese philosophy. So I actually know a little bit more about Indian and Chinese philosophy than I do Western philosophy. But anyway, let's talk about the two mindsets and we will go from there. So you can grab this graphic online. Maybe I'll drop it in here after I'm done this video, and so that you can take it and you can just download it. So basically the two mindsets, okay, is the fixed mindset where your intelligence is static, and the growth mindset where your intelligence can be developed. So obviously we want to go for the growth mindset, right? It's something that we aspire to have, but sometimes we get locked in the way we think and our patterns and behaviors, and we don't really want to be growth minded, and sometimes we just get stuck in our old way. So this is something that I like to look at this chart whenever I'm going through things, or even just whenever I want to remind myself of this, is to how do you grow and how can you make yourself a better person. And not that you're not a great person now, but it really is helping you through challenges, obstacles, and how to create change, right? How to create change in your life when you want to. So first off, the growth mindset is that intelligence can be developed. Your intelligence can be developed just because there's things that you learned, and often we learn things from birth grade to the age 7. Usually that kind of stuff is things that we learn and then it sticks with us, right? And so this, you're not just staying in the patterns, behaviors that you learn from your parents and socialization. If you put yourself in the mood and the mind of, I want to have a growth mindset, you truly believe that your intelligence can be developed and that you can change things, that you can change the way you think, you can change the way you feel, that you can change the way you act to things and challenges that come along, and it helps you look at things different with a different perspective. So growth mindset is intelligence can be developed and leads to a desire to learn, and then that is like one of the biggest things. So if you're someone that loves to learn, you love to constantly research, you like new things, and you want to do that, then that is going to help you with your mindset, because when you're learning new things, your mindset is growing, right? You'll always notice that when you're in the beginning stages of learning something new, it's often challenging because it's something brand new and it's hard and it's different. And that is, if you can get past that, you're going to then grow, right? But if you're like, oh, I don't want to learn, I don't want to try, and this is too hard, then you're not going to be shifting things. So growth mindset, intelligence can be developed, leads to a desire to learn, and therefore a tendency to, number 1, embrace challenges. Number 2, persist in the face of setbacks. Number 3, see effort as a path to mastery. So this is something that, as we get doing new things, as things in our life get hard, as relationships get hard, as just everyday life and things that come to us aren't always easy, oftentimes it may break us, or it may make us feel exhausted and not want to keep trying. But if you're able to look at life in a way that everything is going to have a certain amount of challenge, that is new to me, and if you're willing to persist in that, you're going to see that effort is the path to mastery. Like, hey, just because you try it once and you fail, or you try again and you fail, if you continue to go, if you have an outcome and a goal that you want to achieve, if you just continue with the effort and making changes along the way, that is your path to mastery. And as long as you realize that in whatever you do, and I think about this in business, is that oftentimes there might be things, it could take years for someone to get a client, or it could take months, or it could just be very frustrating for people. But if you say, this is my destiny and this is what I'm meant to be and do, then you will look at challenges and setbacks and things that happen along your path as just learning opportunities and ways to get where you are and just like, oh, I guess I got to make a slight shift and change here, right? So learned a desire to, a tendency to see the effort as a path to mastery. Also learn from criticism. You know, you're open to that. You're open to constructive criticism. I know I was in drama in high school and we used to talk about that. And I don't know where else I learned it, but I feel like we used to talk about, okay, we would do a performance on stage and we would do, you know, whatever we did. Like we would do mime performance. I did a mime performance. I would do a scene, right? And you are working with other people and we're in this big room with no tables except for pushed to the back, and your faults and vulnerabilities and everything that you're doing is on stage in front of other people. And then at the end of the scene, because we did it in class, right? I majored in drama. You are getting criticized by it, or in a sense, constructive criticism so that you can do better, right? If you don't know what you're doing wrong, or if you don't know the mistakes or things that you can change, how are you going to get better, right? And so even though it might be hard on your ego to, when your teacher or someone says, you should try it this way, or this was good, but this needs some work. Oftentimes we don't want to hear that stuff, right? And so if you're willing to see that you can learn from criticism, that it's not, you know, when someone says something about you or says something to you, it's not meant to say that you're a terrible person. It really is meant to make you better. And there's this book by Alain de Botton called The Course of Love. Let me just make sure that I said it right. Alain de Botton. And I've actually seen a lot of his YouTube videos. He's quite a good philosopher. And Course of Love. I think it's called Course of Love, but it might be Course on Love. Let me just double check. The Course of Love. Okay, so Alain de Botton, he, I don't know if he is what his background is. If he's just a philosopher here, let me just check his Wikipedia, but he's British. Oh, he's from Switzerland. He co-founded the School of Life in 2008 and Living Architecture in 2009, and he's an alma mater of Harvard, King's College London, where he did a philosophy degree, master's in philosophy actually, and he went to a college in Cambridge, and he went to Harvard. So he has quite a lot of education in terms of being able to be a philosopher and talk about things in where he's, you know, deep diving into the human behaviors and human mind. And he has this great book, and he does great videos about his book. So when you Google Alain de Botton, you can learn about him and about his work. And he's got like this underlying theme where basically trying to figure out, you know, how to make yourself better in life and to look at yourself with really clear eyes and critical eyes. And he talks about relationships in a sense, and how relationships are, especially long-term relationships, are difficult, and that sometimes because we've gotten to know someone for so long, that we get critical of them, and that, you know, if we realize that about ourselves, that we're going to get critical, that these things happen, then it's okay. Like it's okay, and then we can be each other's partners or each other's persons, the other person's way of learning about ourselves to grow, right? So rather than taking that criticism as, I hate that person, I'm going to become friends with this person or become a lover with this person, we take it and say, this is a way to grow. That person knows me so well inside and out that their feedback is going to help me grow, and it might be hard to hear this feedback, okay? So I know I went a little bit into that one, but I think learning from criticism is something that we all need to learn how to do, and it's something that's never easy. The next thing that what happens when you have a growth mindset is you find lessons and inspiration in the success of others. So there's so often that we might feel jealous of others, or feel that others are in a better place than us, or that they are ahead of us, or we feel behind, right? And instead of feeling that jealousy or feeling triggered by others, instead it's finding the lessons, inspiration, and steps. I like to add in the steps to that, so that we can really help. Sorry, I'm getting all these Facebook messages. My niece just got her her COVID vaccine, and she is, how old is she? She's 9. So she's the last one in my nieces to get it. My other nieces got their vaccines earlier because they're over the age of 12, but my youngest one literally just got it yesterday because now in Canada kids can get vaccines, but previously they couldn't. Anyway, so we have this group chat with myself and my dad's partner and my sister and her husband and just like all of us. And so they're just like messaging back and forth. So there you go. And then today I got a message from my middle niece, Delphine, she's doing really well in school. And I think she's very proud. Well, she's so proud of herself, and she should be, because she's just like doing amazing. And what's incredible about it, which would make me almost teary-eyed, is that just a few years back she had something called PANDAS, a pediatric autoimmune with the brain, and so she was behind in school, a couple years, and now she's at the level of her peers, and even more so, right? She's getting really high marks, and so her teachers are like blown away, and I'm just so proud of her. So she sends me she started doing it this year, where she's like doing a screen grab shot of her test and sending it to me, and I'll just randomly get this piece of paper on my message. I'm like, oh, I guess that's her latest science test. And she's like, I don't even know what half they're saying, but here you go, look at my test. I'm like, okay. I know she's joking, because obviously she killed the test and did so well with hardly any wrong. And I was like, okay, I know you're studying so hard for that. Anyway, she has such a growth mindset when I think about that, because she's someone that came from, for many years where she had certain things that she had to deal with, and now she's like compensating to the utmost, and so proud of herself, right? And that is like, the confidence as a 12-year-old, because she's 12, is amazing, because, at that time, your grade 7 and 8 is a funny age, and she's in grade 7, and it's an interesting grade level. And I think that if you're able to embrace where you want to go and how you want to do, I mean, she's always doing homework, she's always working hard. And I know, I'm so happy for Delphine. It's amazing. My friend just said, I am so happy for her. So like, her confidence has grown, and because of that, she's able to have this growth mindset. She's able to work hard. She's able to start seeing success in working hard. And so she now equates doing homework to doing well on these exams. And, and then what happens is she gets that positive reinforcement. Obviously, I'm one of her biggest cheerleaders as her aunt. So I'm always giving positive reinforcements to my nieces. And so when she sent her last test, I was like, oh my God, I'm so proud of you. This is amazing. Because we were there when she was studying, and then she just did another test, and she just sent it again. And I know it was a good mark, obviously, because she wouldn't be sending me a test with not a good mark. So and then once again, I positively reinforce how hard she's working, and I'm so proud of her in all different areas of her life. So it's just amazing to see. Okay, so lastly about the growth mindset is, as a result, when you have that growth mindset, let me just read this really quick, this comment. Marag says, it's like weight loss. When you start seeing results, you go harder. It's so true, right? And I think that's what's happened. That's what my sister said. She's like, she's seeing results. She's seeing that her hard work's paying off. And it's almost like spurs her on. Like I'll literally, she'll message me or message me on one of the apps, and then maybe I won't see it in time, and then I'll message her back, and she's like, actually I have to do homework before my friend comes over on a weekend. I'm like, oh my God, you're hardcore. But anyway, I definitely was not as hardcore as she was with the homework when I was young. She's just like on it. I'm proud of her though. That's amazing. Okay, so what do all these things add up? I'm just going to reiterate the growth mindset and then reiterate how they add up. So growth mindset, intelligence can be developed, leads to a desire to learn, and therefore a tendency to embrace challenges, persist in the face of setbacks, see effort as a path of mastery. Like all of these things like ring in my mind what Delphine has gone through and how she's doing amazing, because she's just like persisting. She's like really seeing effort. She's seeing what she's doing. Learn from criticism, find lessons and inspiration in the success of others, and as a result you reach ever higher levels of achievement. And this also gives you a greater sense of free will, right? This makes you feel like you can take on anything. This makes you feel like, hey, if I put my mind to something and I have the confidence, I will succeed. Because if this isn't breaking me, if I can get through this, I can get through anything. And I can say that for myself. Like, obviously, you've heard my story with my mom, but that's like my biggest thing that's ever happened to me. That's really was a hard thing on my mindset, because I was quite a confident person. And then my mindset took a bit of a dive when I went through the grief, because I think it's just, that's part of grief, is you just get in a really low level states and just sadness. And I remember, I've told the story so many times, you're probably like, okay, we've heard the story so many times. But anyway, I remember being on the bathroom floor and being like so down and be like, oh my God, this is so crazy. This is so hard. Like, I'm grieving so much. And then I was like, but if I can get through this, I can deal with anything. And I was literally on the bathroom floor thinking these words in my head. Well, okay, I don't know if my mom had died or was dying. I don't know. I had many bathroom on the floor moments during that period of time, because I was like, the only thing that's going to make me feel good is being in the bathroom on the floor by the toilet. I don't know. And so I had many moments. I don't know if this thought was before she passed away or after, because both periods of times were hard. But I remember being on the floor and thinking to myself, hey, I'm on the floor in a bathroom crying, just crying my eyes out, so sad, so messed up, so like, what is going on? But I'm here and I'm surviving and I'm okay. Hey, I can get through this. And I literally said that. And then from then on, I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna be okay. I think I'm gonna be able to handle this. All right, so now fixed mindset. We're just gonna go through this really quick because the graphic has two sides to it, the growth mindset and fixed mindset. Obviously you wanna go for the growth mindset, but the fixed mindset we can talk about so that you can kind of like think, do some of these areas I get into and I have issues with. So the fixed mindset is that intelligence is static and it leads to a desire to look smart, and therefore there's a tendency to avoid challenges, okay? Give up easily, right? When an obstacle comes, right? So this is like the idea of like, I know it all. I know what I'm doing. I'm fixed. My mind is set on this. I know better than you, right? This is kind of a bit of a fixed mindset where you're not open, right? Really, that's the definition in a sense, is you're not open to change. You're not open to hearing other perspectives or seeing things from a different angle. In coaching, one of the number one things that I learned was perspective. And when we work with clients, we coach them on seeing a different perspective and putting themselves in a different perspective or someone else's shoes, or maybe their own shoes, right? Because oftentimes when you're coaching clients, you're coaching them on their goals and how to get their goals to that next place. And it's really, hey, do you want this or that? And you're like, well, I don't know what I want. Okay, let's look at the different perspectives of what you can achieve, right? And what you might want to get. So perspective is so huge, okay? So it leads to a fixed mindset, leads to a desire to look smart, and therefore a tendency to avoid challenges, a tendency to give up easily when obstacles come, see effort as fruitless or worse, right? So seeing that like effort, that hard work, that path of mastery, that path of figuring things out as like, it's not worth it, it's fruitless, it's gonna make things worse, I can't be bothered, right? Like, you don't wanna go through the effort, you don't wanna go through the hard time to get to the other side, to the goodie box, right? To the A+ mark or whatever it is. Instead, maybe it's looking at effort and seeing it like, hey, this is a path to mastery. If I'm able to get through this hurdle, I'm gonna be great. Okay, the next thing is ignores useful and negative feedback and criticism. So if you're ever judging someone or saying something about someone or just like giving some sort of constructive criticism, you ignore it. I'm fixed, this is what I believe, I don't want anyone telling me how to live my life a different way. And that's you're basically ignoring useful negative feedback, right? You have to think about feedback as constructive, and you have to think that the people that are giving you feedback are giving it because they love you. And this is something that Alan de Bottom talks about in Course of Love. If you go Google him and you Google the video with him, he talks so much about this, how our romantic partners and the people that we know the most are the ones that are going to be critical of us the most, because they know all our idiosyncrasies and they're the nuts of parts of us, right? And so it's so good to see this and be okay. Like, I know when I was younger, of course it was hard for me to get advice or people tell me things about myself. But as you get older, you take it by the chin and you just say, yeah, that could be true about me. I'm going to take that feedback. Now, you also want to take feedback from people who are maybe in the ring. So that's another thing I've heard is that, be careful who you take your feedback from. If someone doesn't really know you that well, you might not want to take feedback from them. And if someone's not going after the same goals that you're going after, or they understand what you're doing, don't always take feedback. I know in the entrepreneurial space we talk about this a lot, where don't take advice from your uncle or aunt or whoever in your family who has no idea what you're doing, but maybe take feedback from people that have done what you want to do, right? So where's the feedback coming from? You have to be critical of that and understand that. All right, and the other one, fixed mindset, is they feel threatened by the success of others, right? So you just look at other people in jealousy. You say, well, how come they have it and I don't? And you just look at things and people in a way that, well, why do they have that, okay? So what that means is, as a result, you may plateau. I'm just going to read it. It's below my tripod. You may plateau early and achieve less than your full potential when you have a fixed mindset, right? And this confirms a deterministic view of the world. Okay, there. So the difference between the free sense of a free will is, like, you know that you can change things. You know that you're working hard and doing things, and having a growth mindset means that things in your life can change, versus, well, that's just the way things are. A deterministic view of the world, right? Well, we can't change that. It is what it is, right? You know, that's life, you know, and having that type of attitude, you're not going to reach your full potential if you think of the world like that. If you think of the world like, I'm always going to be put down and what can we do about it? You know, even as myself, I'm quite a feminist and believe in women's rights, and also in all rights, and people having opportunity and equality. And I think that sometimes there can be that, oh my gosh, is it ever going to change? Are we ever going to see the light? Is it, you know, when are people going to have equality? When is this going to happen? And it's, you know, when is it ever going to happen, right? But if we constantly feel like we're giving up and that it's not going to happen and that life is just the way it is, then we're not going to fight for what we believe in, right? And so I always think that the idea is, choose what you want to fight for, choose that you want what you want to have free will for, and what are the things that are going to light you up to be passionate for, that you continue to go after, and that you have that sense of fight in you, right? And I think that, I mean, I'm quite a passionate person. I do have a fight in me, but for certain things, right? And so choose your battles, but choose the things that you want to fight for and things that are important to you, and not give up, right? Don't give up. If you want something and maybe the timing's not there, but continue to have that desire and that feeling inside of you, right? Because there's, you know, lethargy and being, oh, whatever, I don't care about it, is one thing. But if you have that burning desire and that fight in you, it doesn't have to be like aggressive fighting, but you know what I mean. So that is the difference between the growth mindset and the fixed mindset. I will put this graphic into the Facebook comments so that you can take a look at it. Hopefully that'll work. And I hope you enjoyed this live stream. I hope you made it think about, you know, how you want to live your life, how to constantly develop yourself, and keep that idea that your intelligence can be developed, that, you know, if you have the desire to learn and you have desire to understand and listen and take feedback, no matter what age you are, then you will exceed beyond your wildest dreams. So thanks so much for watching. Bye.